Hi, welcome to the Improved Garage YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video on this. So this is an Ancel automotive battery tester. BA201 is the part number. I purchased this from Newegg. It's normally 60 bucks. I got a shell shocker. It was $40. It's on sale for one day, about a week ago. Just arrived today, so I'm excited to play with it. So let's see what we've got and get it tested out. So we open up the box. This is what's inside. So we have the actual unit itself, Ancel. It's got positive, negative battery leads. There's Velcro holding this up. It doesn't have a lot of weight to it. There is a USB cable. So it looks like we have the ability to maybe record or do updates, firmware updates, or something along those lines. Mini USB port. Connects to computer for printing and upgrading. Got it. Okay, so that's cool. So if you were using this at a shop, so we used to use a Snap-on at Sound Solutions. We had a big Snap-on. It was on a cart. We'd roll it over to the car and we'd run the tests. And at the end, it would print out something that looked like a piece of receipt. It was like a thermal paper piece. And we would take that and we would give that to the customer, and it would show that the battery was bad or good and why, and kind of give them the information that they needed. So that was really valuable. So this saying the battery is bad is one thing, but giving that to the customer and showing them why the battery is bad is a completely different thing, and there's definitely some value in that. So this is supposed to be able to test alternator and charging starting conditions, test batteries in and out of vehicle, provide battery life analysis, result, go to or replace. So let's try it out, see what we've got. So it looks like there's quite a bit of options here. Cool. All right, well, let's start off by, we'll test the Mercedes. All right, so to start off, we're going to, in this car, I'm going to expose the battery because it is normally buried. All right, so I've got the unit plugged in. So this is what the screen looks like. I've got check, waveform, review, print, setup, and about. So let's try check. In vehicle or out of vehicle? Well, it's in vehicle. Battery test. Check surface charge. Turn lights on. Turn lights off. So what type of battery is it? So this is an AGM battery. It uses cold cranking amps as its standard. And it has it has 800. Okay. Under measurement. Good battery. SOH is 86%. Resistance, cold cranking amps, volume. Now, I don't know. So my battery says on top of it that it is 800 amps. But it doesn't say that that's cold cranking amps. It just says 800 amps. So I don't know. It might actually be less cold cranking amps than that. But it looks like my battery rated in at 695 cold cranking amps. So it's showing that that's good. Their voltage is 12.24 volts. And then we have SOH and SOC. So what did those mean? All right. So let's go back. Let's try a check. In-vehicle check. This time let's try a cranking test. Let me get my keys. Alright, so we're going to run a cranking test. Please turn off the engine before pressing enter to enter the test. Start engine. Alright, so it told me that my cranking was low, 5,201 milliseconds, so 5 seconds to start the car. It went from 10.35 down to 8.9 volts, cranking low. Let's try a charging test. Loaded testing. Charging normal. All right. So, very interesting. All right, so the Ancel charger, I think it seems good. My first thoughts on it. You know, it did its thing. It gave me a results of a test. Those tests seem to be accurate. I don't have a, you know, what would be considered a more accurate unit to test it against, you know, like a Snap-on or something crazy like that. I could, you know, potentially go to like O'Reilly's or something and have them run a test on the car and see what theirs turns out as a result. So the value in a unit like this, you know, I think for 40 bucks, it's kind of a no-brainer to add it to your toolbox. It's inexpensive, especially if you're messing with the electrical system on cars or trying to diagnose issues or, you know, things like that. You know, the value to something like that, especially if you're running a shop, can be fairly high. You know, we would regularly have cars come in where, you know, we're installing mobile electronics, so we're doing car stereos, navigation, headrest DVDs, overhead DVD systems, remote car starters, alarms, all of that kind of stuff. And we'd run into situations where, you know, a car would come back because like the remote starter didn't work. And we would find that like the transponder bypass didn't have, like it had lost the key. And oftentimes that was an indication of a bad battery, because what happens when you first start the car is the battery voltage drops down low while it's cranking and then it comes back up. Well, if your battery voltage drops too low, it can cause computer brains to freak out, like the you know, the devices that are used for transponder bypasses or alarm control or, you know, whatever. So knowing that somebody had a good battery going into it meant that they were going to get a good result for a reasonable length of time. And, you know, sometimes we would have a car that would come back repeatedly with an issue with a transponder bypass or a brain losing its programming, and it would be because of a bad battery. So we would, you know, go next door, we would buy a battery from the auto parts store, we would install it, and, you know, the customer's problems would go away. So just because a battery can start a car doesn't necessarily mean that the battery is good. You know, a good battery would be able to hold its charge while starting the car and not have the voltage drop significantly low, and your alternator would have uniform current output and not like high and low ripples. So a unit like that can help you to test out those things and make sure that, you know, you're one, that you know what you have, and then two, if you're diagnosing charging issues or battery issues, that you replace the battery when it's the alternator that's the problem, or you replace the alternator when the battery is the problem, and, you know, that you're replacing the right thing. So for 40 bucks, I think it's worthwhile. A reasonable battery at this point is 200 to 300 easily. Alternators can be, you know, way more expensive than that even. So I think it's a relatively inexpensive way to have a reliable test, and it seems to work well. So that's it. Have a great day. Please subscribe.